A few days ago, 3 new legendary commanders were revealed by Rise of Kingdoms at an in-person meetup, and we actually have more information about what the skills of these commanders actually are than I first covered in my reveal video. And the reason for that is because 1, I didn't realize that information until after I already made the video, and then 2, I waited a couple of days to see if maybe we would find out the actual full skills of these commanders before I make this video speculating on how powerful these commanders might actually be based on the small amount of information that was actually revealed for those commanders. And so a few days have gone by, we haven't heard anything more about these commanders, so today I'm going to share with you everything that we do know about the skills of these 3 new commanders, and I'm also going to share with you why I think the knee-jerk reaction to write off this commander release might actually be the wrong play. But before we jump in, of course, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now before we jump in, of course, as you guys know, I am a sponsored partner creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content, definitely drop a thumbs up down below and use the new hype feature. It really helps out channels like mine a ton, and you might think you're subbed but you're actually not. Double check down below. All right folks, let's jump right in here and talk about Vercingetorix, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly yet. I googled it, I think that's right, but anyway, as you guys know, this is the leadership, versatility, and support commander that was revealed, and during the in-person meetup it was actually revealed that the active skill of this commander, as you can see on the bottom here, it says grants a shield and slows multiple enemies, and the passive skill on this commander will absorb damage through shields and converts absorbed damage into increased damage dealt. Now this is a brand new mechanic. We actually have never seen this mechanic in Rise of Kingdoms before. We have seen something similar on the 3rd skill and expertise of our boy Achilles. His skill says all incoming skill damage, combo damage, and counterattack damage is reduced, and whenever this effect reduces a total amount of 2500 damage factor of damage, this commander's troop casts the Pelion Spear effect. So my expectation is that Vercingetorix is going to have a very similar skill where when your shields absorb a certain amount of damage factor, then according to this it will increase the damage that you deal. But that's not where the information ends here, because we do actually see the active skill animation for Vercingetorix, and this was shared by a couple of people. I actually first saw this by a YouTuber named Imigbo, and as you'll see here, the active skill is actually a pretty big circular AoE, and you'll see that a couple of different shields actually appear around your commander. Now if we play the entire animation, you'll see that it actually looks pretty cool. It's all the shields just spinning around, and we can also count the turns that we take 0 damage. Okay, so here is the first turn we take 0 damage, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we do take some damage after that. So it looks like the shield is up for at least 4 seconds. It could also be the case that it's up for longer, but it broke after the 4 turns. And you can also see that it says troop attack increased right here. So I don't know if that is triggered by something else. They didn't specifically say that an attack bonus or buff is part of this active skill, but it is worth noting that when the active skill goes off, you apparently get an increase in attack. Now maybe there's a talent or something I'm forgetting about, or something along those lines. I'm not sure exactly, but what we know for sure is that it has a circular AoE field here. There's no damage that appears to be dealt to the enemy, right? So it doesn't look like, you know, you deal some amount of damage and gain the shield. It looks like it's strictly buffing, right? Similar to like Philip, for example, he doesn't deal any damage with his active skill. This looks like it will probably be similar. It looks like it will be an AoE supportive buff. Maybe everyone in that circle gains attack perhaps, or maybe you're giving shields to your allies. I'm not sure exactly, but we also know that the active skill slows multiple enemies. Okay, so maybe that's what the circle is for. The shield is just for yourself, but the nearby enemies are slowed. Who knows? Okay, and I think when a lot of people learned about this, they kind of wrote him off immediately. They were like, okay, well, no damage on the active skill, and he's kind of focused on shielding. That just sounds horrible, right? And like, that is the knee-jerk reaction if I'm being honest with you. But really the devil is in the details, because this this is a brand new mechanic that we've never seen before, converting absorbed damage into increased damage dealt. I mean, what if there's no cap on this thing and you're in just an insane murder ball? And I don't know, that sounds insane, it sounds ridiculous, but it would actually make sense to compensate for the fact that there is no damage on the active skill apparently. But the other thing that we have to consider about Vercingetorix and how viable he might be in the open field is that if you look back at a lot of the open field leadership commanders, by that I mean leadership versatility commanders, a lot of them have been somewhat meta or meta adjacent, at least when they first land in the game. I know Trajan is not very relevant right now in the open field, but for a time he was. And likewise, Philip is a commander that, okay, maybe he's not part of the single best open field march of a particular troop type, but he's definitely usable and he's definitely been part of the meta for a lot of different troop types over the last, I would say, year and a half since he's been in the game. And then same thing with Hector, right? A lot of people kind of scoffed at Hector because he was single target damage and he's got really long cooldowns on his kit, and like, I mean, he's a leadership commander, right? So he's going to be a secondary if he's going to be part of an open field army. But Hector is a commander that you see sometimes paired with open field cavalry, right? Honda was a part of the meta for a while as well. Even with his damage factor cut as a secondary, he was still pretty decent in some lineups. A lot of people don't remember that if they haven't been playing the game for a while, but my point here is that, you know, we might want to write off Vercingetorix out of the box because he is a you know, low damage shielder, which again, we don't know for sure yet. We have to actually see his kit, but the track record of open field leadership is that all of the recent ones have been somewhat meta viable, and they have the flexibility of going into multiple different troop types, multiple different armies, right? How many people ran Philip behind Zhuge Liang and also ran him behind King Arthur, right? Like, you can move him around, and that's kind of the beauty of it. You also can use him behind Liu Che if you're doing some sort of cheeseburgering or hit and run tactics, right? So again, Vercingetorix is going to be amongst good company here, and if the developers and the balance team kind of stay in line with what they've been doing with open field leadership, I see no reason to assume that Vercingetorix is not going to be of the same caliber as Philip or as Hector or as Honda or as Trajan. And it's also worth noting that 3 of those 4 commanders are leadership support tree commanders, just like Vercingetorix is going to be. So again, it seems reasonable that he's going to fall in the same bucket where, okay, sure, he's not going to deal a ton of damage, but he's going to put support in the support tree, right? He's going to wear that badge and he might do it really well, especially with mechanics that we've never seen before. And don't forget, the support tree is stronger now than it was a few months ago. I know I've talked about that a lot on the channel here, but loose formation and emergency protection are now more tanky than they used to be. And then you tack on top of that this new shielding mechanic, and who knows, this could be kind of like, I know he's not a leadership commander, but this could kind of be like a Charles Martel 2.0, right? I mean, his active skill gives you a shield and a 30% bonus to all damage for 4 seconds. Well, what if you can stack up more than 30% all damage based on the amount of damage that your shields absorb? It's going to be really interesting to see how his kit actually plays out. But he was not the only commander revealed at the in-person meetup. We also saw Elizabeth the First be revealed as an engineering skill-based commander, and we do have a little bit of information about what her skills actually will do. The active skill will deal single target damage and grant buffs. Now, this doesn't say if it's going to be buffs for your army, buffs for nearby allied armies. We don't actually know, okay? And the passive skills, it says grants stackable bonuses to rage gain speed and damage dealt when dealing range skill damage. So it sounds like perhaps, and again, we have to wait for the skills to come out, but it sounds like as you gain stacks of whatever her buff is going to be, not only will you generate rage faster, but you're going to deal more ranged skill damage. I think that's what they mean here. I mean, they say just damage dealt grants stackable bonuses to rage gain speed and damage dealt. Now, they also showed off the active skill animation for Elizabeth here, and I know that this is super low quality, super blurry, and no, I did not crop this. This is how the video actually was cropped already, but we do get kind of an idea as to how this skill is going to work. Okay, so she fires one giant bolt out of her, I guess, wand or whatever those are called. I'm sorry if you're from Europe, and I don't mean to like disrespect select Elizabeth and not know anything about what that thing is, her scepter or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, she waves that thing and then it launches like basically a missile, hits them, boom, massive. It looks like either a flower or a crown. Actually, it looks like a crown, the crown she's wearing, deals big damage. And then you actually see, frankly, it's kind of hard to see, but not only do you see like the big damage number that is dealt to the target initially, but you also see another red number pop up here. So you see multiple red numbers pop up. Again, I know it's super blurry. This is like compressed through Discord and it was maybe recorded on like a Nintendo 3DS or something. I don't know, but I just wanted to point that out because this translation doesn't say that it deals extra damage on top of the single target damage as well. So I'm expecting Elizabeth to function similar to how Margaret deals damage here. It'll be a little bit different where I think it'll be like one big damage shot and then it will say it deals extra range damage based on whatever factors, right? You saw multiple red numbers come up. I think this is going to be a similar way to how Elizabeth might deal damage on top of that single target damage hit. And then of course we did see the new gathering commander Yahya bin Khalid or Khalid, sorry, again mispronouncing that probably, I do apologize, but I was speculating in my initial video as to what type of resource this commander might be gathering and they literally just said gold. Okay, so they just came out and said it, no speculation, we're getting another gold gathering commander. A lot of people have complained about resource cost in things like KVK, of course, and so I think maybe the developers are saying, okay, well, let's give you more commanders that you can use to gather gold faster, so that way the daily amount of gold you can gather might go up a little bit. That's my best guess. Otherwise, I really don't see the purpose of another gold gathering commander. I mean, it's never a bad thing, right? I mean, more gold gathering speed, it's never a bad thing, but like it is a bit redundant. It does seem a little bit like what are we doing here, right? Like why are we getting this? I mean, I don't know, but who knows? Maybe the rest of his kit's going to be really interesting. He does have the same talent trees as Casimir, so I'm expecting a very similar kit, but maybe his skills will actually be better. So that's everything that we know about these three new commanders until we see their skills actually officially revealed. I don't know when they will be revealed. There's no official timeline and they could come out any day now at this point. I mean, usually they reveal the skills like 1 or 2 weeks before the commander actually lands in the game. So I do suspect we're probably a few weeks away from seeing the skills, but they also revealed these commanders super early as well. So we might see the skill reveal soon too. Of course, of these commanders, I am most interested to know more about Vercingetorix. I think if he is a very tanky commander that can be used as secondary, I think he actually could be really good behind a commander like King Arthur, right? We already see Hector perform pretty well there. Same thing with Philip, although Philip is a little bit squishy. If Vercingetorix can be sort of like a tankier Philip, that would actually be pretty good, especially for Cavs. And if he has other things on his kit, like he's giving more shields as a % chance off basic attacks, for example, that would scale really well with combo commanders, right? So I'm really interested to see how he could potentially be used in the open field, specifically with cavalry. I feel like infantry are so good right now that it would be really hard to replace an open field infantry commander with a shielding leadership commander. It could happen, but I just don't really see it, but we'll have to wait and see. Guys, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really does help out the channel a ton. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms news, and comment down below your thoughts on these new commanders. Did you know that they revealed this little bit of extra tidbit of information about the skills? And if you didn't know that, now you do. And what do you think about these commanders? Are you just planning on skipping them out of the box, or do you agree that at least with the leadership commanders, they've been kind of meta adjacent for years now, and so that trend could continue? Let me know in the comment section below. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.